I hear a little echo.
Should I do it the way Erasmo does it? Mute, mute. You're on mute, mute, mute. Still mute. You're on mute, Erasmo. Oh yeah.
Hey, great Wednesday evening. It's a great.
Rookie.
Well, it's so trippy because literally I had someone walk in 5 minutes to the office because and I'm going like, I got a show at 9 to 10. But actually waiting for some young couples, people like getting married. It's kind of trippy. I don't know if y'all saw today, but Mexican news people, they love the crap out of me, and they're always putting out these posts like he's kind of peculiar, but he's good.
I saw the one where it's like he has a cat as an assistant. Right. He wears interesting outfits and he rides a scooter.
But isn't it cute? I mean, it grabs your attention.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people, and trust me, I got a bunch of calls today like a crazy man going like, sure. But
So I'm waiting for Frankie to post the rookie comment. Get to it, Frankie.
What?
Because you left the mute button on for quite a bit, rookie.
Oh, rookie. Frankie's not. Frankie's crazy. I'm glad he's not on here anymore. And let me tell you, it's kind of a trippy deal because Ricardo and I were talking about how what a crazy type of day it was, and it was a crazy one for me. Let me tell you, at in the morning, I did a wedding, and then Mama comes over and she goes, "Me tienes que llevar a Monterrey," and she does talk like that, and we're like, "Okay." She goes, "Es que se murió la mamá de Blanquita." So, to all the Rodriguez family, sorry about your mom passing away. So, I said, okay. So I literally, got her to go to her stuff. I literally drove to Monterrey and drove back.
Oh, good. Then I need for you to take me to Matamoros to find an herrero.
An herrero?
Yeah. If you're doing favors like this, I need a blacksmith.
Sure. I actually take a screenshot of that face.
Which
I actually got one
huh?
I have one in Matamoros. I have one in Matamoros.
A blacksmith?
I have an herrero in Matamoros.
Oh yeah. I need it for you to take me.
Sure.
Thank you.
When I come back from Colombia.
That's fine.
Tomorrow, I should be driving to Monterrey to fly out to Colombia.
I forgot you were going. Is this a sudden trip or did you already have this planned?
No, I've had it planned for a while. Well, maybe like 2 months.
Hang on a minute. Okay, Ricardo, how long have you been watching Erasmo? Do you know that he has a track record for Brownsville going to shit? Sorry, when Erasmo's out of town.
You know what? I think I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So hang on a minute. When are you leaving? When are you coming back? And isn't there a hurricane on its way?
Yes, it's all those. I'm leaving tomorrow. Should be gone. Should be in Colombia Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. But trust me, and I won't be back till Wednesday. But trust me, I'm already looking at return flights. See if I could just return earlier. I don't think I could make it all those 5 days.
Why not? Are you going for church?
No, I'm just going to spend 5 days on the beach.
Nice. So that tropical development is supposed to hit us when?
I've been driving all day.
I might be a little bit. I'm not superstitious. I'm a little stitious. So if that's a holler. That's a what is it? Shout out to all the Office fans.
And one of the first times that it happened, Ricardo, was when I went to Cancun. I went to Cancun February, and mocos perro, the freeze hit.
Ooh, you ran into Ted Cruz.
I did a Ted Cruz, and it was so trippy, bro. Because I was doing this because I do the shows even when I'm away, and I was doing the shows, and I was going like, I mean, it's funny, and then some people were going like, why are you laughing at our misery? Well, I'm not laughing. I'm laughing at the situation that I just leave Brownsville and everything goes to crap. And
Mm-hmm.
I literally got back when everything was turned back on again.
Mm-hmm.
So I did not feel it.
And
But
then you were out of town another time when we had a flood.
yeah,
It's been
yeah.
like 3 times. So
I'm,
that's what I'm saying. I'm not
I'm, wait,
superstitious. I'm a little stitious.
I'm waiting for the flies and the locusts to hit.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
And
anytime now.
we got all plagues, and then people can start calling me Moses. But
There you
what
go.
Mm-hmm.
during the freeze, I don't know if you remember, Ricardo. During the freeze, we had POB fail us miserably.
Yeah, and then here we are with. I just recently saw something about our electric usage now doubling, or the charges on that stuff, and it's just really disappointing when people are now having to turn their thermostats to 76 just to get through the month. You know.
Crazy. But let me ask you, uh, you sometimes use the word attorney in front of your name. So people have been asking. I don't know if you're familiar with this type of law. People are asking, what legally can we do as a community? I mean, is there a possibility of a class action lawsuit? And I'll give you my take on it. But is there anything out there that a community can do when the services that should be provided to them are really have them by the throat?
There's many things they can do. Let's talk first of all about citizens' rights. We as citizens have the right to demand that our elected officials, that our city utilities properly inform us. Give us an idea of what's going on, what we're facing on the rate hike, and what to expect. On the other hand, the folks that are responsible in this PUB building, all the suits in there, what are they doing? If they realize that we're in one of the most economically vulnerable areas in the country, one of the most economically vulnerable areas in the country, yet these energy costs are rising. Why isn't there a scramble right now? Why isn't there an absolute all hands effort to get people informed and give the people what they need to know and what they're going to do to handle this? Because in my research and what I've seen so far, some of this has to do with some of the backlog costs we had from ERCOT failing, but also, it's kind of like they just put it in our face and said, we told you. We told you we're going to raise these rates, and this is what we're doing. And actually, you think they're being raised, but they're not really being raised, but look at your bill, right? And so question, pressure, 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 ring the phones off the hook on PUB and their elected officials and demand answers, folks. And I think that's one of the ways we're going to get some change here.
Well, one of the things that I think that Maggie, I don't know if you received any complaints. One of the things that a lot of people have been saying, they've stopped seeing people at the facility, and I think they planned on this. They closed the doors. They said, you know what, by appointment only, because they didn't want a lot of people going out there and going like, what the hell is happening? So even that is just insulting. That entity that is supposed to provide services, which belongs to the citizens of Brownsville, because it's not a private company, it belongs to the citizens of Brownsville. This group shut their doors.
But who can they call? Because customer service doesn't help anybody. They're not even polite to most people, are they?
They are
Like,
not.
not to be rude, but I mean, you need someone up front on customer service to take all the hits sometimes, unfortunately, and I don't think they're taking any at all. I don't think they're taking anybody's comments or concerns.
Well, I got a lot of people complain just about that the individuals that they spoke with just told them, well, go find help somewhere if you can't afford it. A ver qué haces.
So is there another number they can call?
Well,
Can I speak to your manager?
it's like Ricardo. Well, yeah, they'll pass you on to a supervisor that told them exactly the same thing. But it's like Ricardo says. But you can't get a hold of anyone there. It took a friend of mine 2 hours this morning, to reach them. Elected officials have just decided to shut down completely. They are not answering any questions. Well, they're not even coming up and giving any information. And when the mayor does speak, then the mayor goes out and says a bunch of caca, poo poo.
You know, Osmo, it says here on the PUB website, committed to transparency. All information created, received, or maintained by or for the Brownsville PUB is public information, is available to the public during normal business hours, unless accepted for disclosure. So that means, legally speaking, that you should be able to do a public information request and get whatever information that you seek. And if these are not responsive, you can seek legal action in court regarding the non-responsiveness, which is covered in the Open Records Act in Texas. So that's another thing to consider here.
Well, one of the things that we've been promised is we were promised an audit. 2 years ago, it was promised. And then, we did have one of the commissioners on, a friend of Maggie's, Commissioner Roy Las Chanclas, and, went out there and said, oh, no, we're going to have it by May. You'll see it in May.
He was nicer than that, though.
It wasn't a mean thing. It was an excited one. You're going to get it in May. That was my excited.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Thought that was an angry thing.
You're going to get it in May. Is that better?
Yes.
And we got nothing.
What did John Cowan say, though?
June. John Cowan is handsome.
Yes, you just keep saying it. But aside from all that asinine talk between Erasmo and I, just call PUB customer service. Is that what you're suggesting?
For those that wish to make public information requests, they simply call 956-983-6262 or email openrecords@brownsvillepub.com. And ladies and gentlemen, let's run the phones off the hook. Let's get the emails out in mass and show them the people are the ones who run this and the people are the ones they have to answer to. And I'm likely going to go ahead and use every avenue I have to ensure that my friends and associates are doing the same. And I would suggest that you all spread the word.
And also, can you put it on your ticker tape at the bottom, please?
I sure can.
Thank you.
And Osmo, if I can kind of run a little bit east of this issue and talk a little bit about, we have here, Elon Musk, who calls our territory his home area now, and I'm sure is receiving the tax benefit of that. What about, we have one of the most innovative persons in the world when it comes to energy, with more resources and more things to bring to the table regarding energy, yet energy and the cost of energy is one of the biggest problems in the geographic zone in which he is purportedly living these days. So I'd like to see our elected officials that are out at, Westfield Frail drinking with Musk or hanging out with him, to maybe bring it up a little bit and say, hey, besides beautifying downtown, we got a real issue here with energy costs. What do you think about that?
I was about to interject with your comment and say, but the thing is, who's going to go and talk to Elon Musk? Because our mayor has already shown that he's not going to stand up and I don't know, say something on anybody else's behalf other than his interests.
Well, that's part of the problem. And look, one of the things that I've stated in regards, I'm appreciative. I'm glad that we have SpaceX. We've got something, But
you're right. He's got amazing resources. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I do mean to interrupt.
Sure, Sam.
Elon Musk has amazing resources, not just money-wise, but access to updated, forward-thinking information with solar energy or any other kind of energy. You'd think we could approach him on it and say, hey, on a side note, can you help us out? But we don't have leaders like that. That's the problem.
We don't have
conservation. Go ahead, Erasmo.
My issue, though, is that I'm glad that SpaceX is here. And going back into what Maggie said, the problem is that we don't have an even seat at the table. We don't have local leaders that are going to go out there and challenge him and say, and I think I somewhat understand the type of mindset that Elon Musk, he wants to be challenged. His type of demeanor is one of those individuals that wants to be challenged. But he comes in here and says, "I want this, I want these roads, I want this," and everyone here, all Eddie Trevino, Trex Mendex, they bend over backwards to give him anything he wants. But because they're getting pennies, they're getting scraps, crumbs, even. We don't have an even
Yeah.
seat at the table.
If you look at Elon Musk's history and what he's been involved in, he pays attention. And he's a very, very intelligent person who I think gets reads on people. And if he sees somebody in a certain light for a certain role, I think he'll probably treat them in that capacity. But I also have noticed that if he sees people coming with the right heart, with the right purpose, I think he'd be responsive. I mean, look at all of the land and territory we have to do pilot programs on the conservation of energy and the proper usage of energy, which is imperative if we are to break ground on making space the next frontier. Look at all the particular bright for much and much solar panels to be put on all these hot roofed buildings we have. And where is the innovation? And where is it happening? It's not. The future is passing us by because our leaders are too high on their own ego and not thinking about the people.
Well, I think something that y'all are alluding to, unless I'm completely off base, but one of the things that Elon Musk provided to Ukraine was this Starlink or something, this internet access via satellites out there, Wi-Fi. I'm going like, bro, why can't we have someone here fight for something like that here instead of going with one of Trex Mendek's little buddies out there and do that fiber optic 1 mile crap that they're going to put under the ground? The future, and going to what Ricardo said, the future's not under the ground anymore. It's like for some reason this city commission and all local leaderships, they're thinking about CDs. When we're already out there on Apple Music. And this is what trips me out. If the future is satellite Wi-Fi, satellite access to internet, why are we spending $20 million to put a mile worth of fiber optics straight down to the city of Brownsville? Why haven't we?
You're right, Erasmo. If he's able to go and provide internet access around the world, on the other side of the world, in the middle of a war, well, actually, he didn't go in there, right? He just sent it up into space. You'd think our superintendent, maybe, I don't know, the person in charge of education for Brownsville, who is going to provide future employees for SpaceX, maybe the superintendent and the school board would think, hey, how about we meet with him and make a suggestion that he help us out so that we can better educate our children?
Well, all local leadership.
I know, but you pick yours, I pick mine.
One of the things that is really interesting if you study Starlink, it's one of these programs that has the ability whenever, if you ever have an issue, right, with an EMP or some sort of technology that takes out our ability to get online and function online, our financial system would not be secure, of course, and really our whole economy would crash without having that capability. Not to mention, it's really good for education purposes, rural areas to have internet access. This Starlink thing, when it does take shape, is going to be one of the most effective, I think, opportunities to connect the world and be impervious to any kind of issues like that. So why not start down here? Let's open up. If we're going to start making real diplomacy right now with Elon Musk, the Musk Foundation, and all that stuff, let's get a committee together or a delegation together that can really knows what the real issues are down here and gives the opportunity to test this technology down here.
But we need a group of people that are not just going in for self-interest. We need people going in who've got the community's needs, I think, ahead of what anything else, any self-interest. So that would exclude pretty
Yeah, I
much
think the
all
guy
of our
can.
leaders, wouldn't it?
Well, I think the guy can detect that. I think that he is of a he has an ability to kind of know what he's dealing with. And let me also not be all sweetness and light here. The Musk Foundation, gave these donations, which were hobby horses for our present city leadership. And everybody wants downtown to be renovated, but it was already well known when that particular project was supported that our major leadership wanted that to happen. What about drainage? What about other infrastructure? What about, like we're talking about now, energy concerns? I think those are a little bit higher in priority, or right with a lot of these other issues here. Now, obviously, education was a nice move. Helping with education is great, but we're giving a band-aid on a major issue that needs a lot more than just a grant. We need a lot more innovative, on the cusp of technology application and integration into our school system here. And there's so much
Mm-hmm.
more to do.
But okay, and this has been my spiel for a while, and I think Maggie's heard me say this a couple of times. Look, the only ones that truly benefit from downtown receiving 10 million of Elon Musk's money are the politicos, are the elected officials. They own downtown, and while this money is invested there, they get to go out there to BCIC and request money for their little ventures out there, their business ventures, where that money isn't access to anybody else out there. Again, that's going to be my spiel. I know for a fact that most of the commissioners own property downtown. We stopped Trey Mendez from getting $200,000. It should have gone to the people of Brownsville. But he wanted it for himself. Simple, but someone had to ask and direct the Musk Foundation to say, hey, look at downtown. We could use the money downtown. When in fact, the greater use of those $10 million, instead of giving us $10 million, Elon, give us some free internet for everyone in the community. The city of Brownsville, it probably would have cost him less than $10 million, and then he still would have gotten a major write off.
Yeah. Erasmo, the whole expression when Elon Musk was paraded around Chadro Days and had his son with him, and the whole thing, expression from him that he is open to and wanting to be part of the people here or have some participation. But in my opinion, the way it was handled was just a little bit out of tune with what is really going on here with the people. Okay, I mean, granted, we love Chadro Days. Chadro Days is a super wonderful event. Why not be able to bring Mr. Musk into our worst colonias, our areas that need the most help, and tour him through there instead? It's this type of forward thinking that I think is putting the Musk Foundation and Elon Musk off track. When if you had a less of, I think, an egotistical point of view on it, they could put Mr. Musk's attention and the Musk Foundation on the real areas that can improve it and align with what he wants to do, which is make a viable existence on another planet, right? And so there's a lot of problems right here in this area that align with that. Let's test the technology. Let's be real. Let's get a real conversation happening with those folks.
Well, it's only going to happen when we get our local elected officials on the same page as the rest of the community. Unfortunately for us, it's non-existent. And again, we got to get rid of all these boards and committees. We got to get rid of every single individual out there that is serving right now, and we've got to take a different path. And and one of the things that and I've tried to make mention of this, it's not a Republican or a Democrat thing. It's not anymore. It's more of it's got to be a community thing. And one of the things that I think that all Democrats and all Republicans can agree on is that they're screwing us over, and it's got to stop. And the only way it's going to stop is if the community unites, they get off their butt and go vote and become a part of the electoral process and effect true change. Because as much as I think Glory was saying, as much as her dad's been calling, I mean, they're telling him what we've all known for a fact, that everything is going to continue to go up.
Mm-hmm. Somebody else texted me. It took them 2 hours to get to PUB to talk to them. That the person was very helpful, but can you imagine sitting there 2 hours waiting for the phone to ring? For the phone to be answered? Who's gonna be doing that? Not a lot of people will put up with it. But maybe like Ricardo says, we need to all call, all email, and voice our concerns.
But again, a lot of people are going to do this. If right now, Maggie, it's taking 2 hours, I'll put up a post tomorrow morning. Then it's going to take 6 to 8 hours for your phone to be answered.
So the thing is, you've got to just put the phone on speaker and go about your business until they answer it.
But why
and let it ring?
I mean, why do we have to deal with it? Why can't we just call the city commissioners and the mayor and keep on calling them?
Okay, so let's do that one too. Let's do both. That's what Ricardo said.
It's a humanitarian thing for us in Brownsville, poorest community. The outrageous prices.
Is the other way to get a hold of his attention is for people to tweet Elon Musk.
ERCOT put out an article a few months ago. It's actually on Sarah Stapleton Barrera's Facebook page regarding some of the factors that have been linked to increased charges around the state for energy. And one of those things which has been undetected and our legislatures are falling asleep on, and if our DA's office got involved in it, they could probably find quite a bit of this, is electric misusage. And you have these crypto mining sites that they found were collectively using about this amount of energy that Houston uses per day, right? And causing vulnerabilities in our grid. And this is a big thing. If you actually do some research and check into this, you will be appalled at how much energy is used in this crypto mining thing. And I'm going to tell you, I would not be surprised if the Valley, South Texas, is full of, little trailers or areas that are just full of these crypto mining tech hardware type of rigs that are sucking up the energy down here. And it really should be investigated. And I think it is an issue.
But who's going to investigate it?
Well, it takes when all else fails, the citizens have the power. And you'd be surprised how many people know things out there. And I can tell you, as an attorney who deals with several people a day that come into my office, people know things out there that sometimes don't always go reported. People have heard things or seen things that don't always get put on the right lines. As attorneys, we direct them to do the reporting and to put it in the right place. But it's just a matter, it's got to start the grassroots era. We have a grassroots movement, I believe, that is necessary to ignite, to wake up everything above it, including our elected officials.
Well, let me tell you, and I'm buying everything you're saying. One of the things, and I want to get to John White's comment, but part of the problem is that of people like the high electricity bill thing is not just with PUB. Electricity bills in all the cities are going up. Even our bill here at the ranch went up over $120. Look, this is one of the things that they tried to feed us. They say, well, it's just going up everywhere. Again, there's a difference. They took 150 million. Now the amount went up. I had the amount at 135 million. They took $150 million for this Tenaska crap. We never got it back. We got screwed. So again, my question to every single post that PUB throws out there, because they're trying to respond to anything that we're screaming about, my response is going to be, what did you do with our 135 million? The difference of all other communities out there, they didn't have Kanaska. We did. And no audit, no transparency. Doesn't matter what the website says.
It's a dang shame. And when it comes down to it, will we ever have a competent audit of where the money's gone in not only that sector, but I mean, look at the past, look at the bridge to nowhere, look at all the different heists that have occurred in this area. And the people, unfortunately just don't get told the facts. And going back to last week, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Don't sugarcoat it. You'll never get the respect of the people if you just try to show sweetness and light. This is what I've been doing. Isn't it so great? We're going to name this street here, and this is a great accomplishment. No, tell us the good, the bad, and the ugly, and what's going to be done about it. Okay? And what needs to be done about it is show us where the numbers lead the money to and where it went gone, where it went away.
Well, let me ask you, Ricardo, you're an attorney. We were promised the audit 2 years ago. I mean, I put up the Brownsville Herald article 2 years ago. It was promised it's going to get done. Then we got word earlier this year, Maggie. If I'm correct, January, February, Maggie.
Yeah.
No, May. Guarantee
you. For sure. Yeah.
May. Not a doubt. Oh no! Wait. June.
June.
Wait. July. Maybe October. So my question to you is, how can we even trust whatever they're going to produce? Can we trust whatever they're going to show us?
Well, that's where it comes down to, I think, some creative. And what if it was more of a citizens committee that was put together and selected with screening out all conflicts of interest? Because part of the problem with what we see and what we don't like is that what's being said is, well, maybe it's not ethical, but it's not illegal. It may not be ethical, but it's not illegal. Well, you know what? That's not good enough for us, because at the end of the day, it's the people who decide what the laws are. And if the laws aren't being made in a way that makes the unethical illegal, I think we got to take a look at who's there. So to answer your question, Erasmo, I do think that there should be an independent, well-screened citizens committee put together to answer to and make recommendations regarding what's happened here. And I think that we need to also use the power of the people to vote on referendums and things like that. If you don't feel like your government is listening to you, there are other ways to get, the vote out to the people. One of those ways was term limits recently. Let's talk about that. Term limits went to the people with a resounding 86% of the people voted for term limits. And these term limits weren't even greatly drafted. They weren't even that concise, but they wanted it anyway. They soaked it up. So anything regarding a true comprehensive ethics package at the state level, at the municipal level, I think would be overwhelmingly accepted by the people. And that's what we need next.
Well, I'm hoping that I'm reading the sentiment of the people of Brownsville. And I think that the sentiment of most folks in the city of Brownsville are, we're just done. Enough's enough. One of the things that I've noticed, and I think I've shared with Maggie or with Sam, is that I'm starting to see people's verbiage start to change. I randomly see posts here or there on the Brownsville Herald page whenever they pop up on my news feed, and I'm starting to hear people say, "But you sure as heck took $135 million." And I'm going like, and these people aren't even friends of mine. But because I've been screaming about the 135 million for months now, years even. So I'm kind of proud and glad that more and more people are starting to catch up. It sucks that it had to come when when it started to hit their pocket.
But I mean, that's how everything usually is. It doesn't bother you until it affects you personally. I mean, that's why we get away with suing for money, because that's the one way we know it's going to hurt people or companies.
But
But
yeah,
like you said, enough's enough. But don't just say enough's enough. Then go out and do something, like you said. And I think social media has helped us in showing the leaders that the little people are getting fed up with it. And another way, I guess, is like Ricardo said, is to start making phone calls.
well, let me say,
Erasmo,
go,
go ahead.
go, go.
I believe there is an intellectual class in our county that has sat around and seen what's happened for years now and is fed up. And I hope that that intellectual class eventually rises up and replaces the folks that have the short sighted, dim views of what we need to do to solve problems. We need really well thought out solutions that go long term. We need to get the power of, high thinkingness and cooperation back out there. And I've met these folks. I've met some very fantastic people who are in the field of education. They're in the field of business. Some of these people are raising families, but they are some really smart folk, way smarter than me. And I believe, and I've talked to a lot of them. Many of them are ready, and I hope they do rise up and end up running for these positions and getting the folks that aren't answering the people out.
Well, my concern, going back into what
And by
Maggie was
intellectual class, I also refer to the people here.
saying. Finally, someone calls me intellectual, Maggie. But my concern, Maggie, going back into to your comment, for all these years, the less fortunate, they've been hurting. You know, they've been hurting. They're hurting even more now.
Uh-huh.
My problem with the intellectual class and the actual folks out here is, look, I want people to feel the needs, the yearns, and the hurts of the community as a whole. I mean, why do we have to wait until it affects me, and I'm not concerned when it affects thee? And this is again, and I don't want to sound like an a hole out here, but I'm proud that a lot of people, are now waking up from this lull and becoming a lot more, vociferous. They're screaming, they're hurt. I'm proud. Where were you all these years?
They
You
were
know,
sitting back saying que te valga.
yeah, and that's part of the problem. A lot of the people that were before going, "I'm make it te valga," now they're going like, "Alamais, that guy, that handsome guy that rides a scooter, he was right."
Once you were wrong. Someone messaged me and told me you were wrong about Sandra Lopez PUB board. Just so you know.
Oh, yeah. Again, I think I might have gotten, I might have gotten confused. It might have been the other one that Langley. I can't remember.
Okay,
One of,
so Sandra Lopez Langley is a banker and has been a banker for 30 years.
and the
Just so
other
you
one.
know. I need to look up who the other one was. Hang on. Give me a minute.
Love you, Papa. He's right. The raise grant is available for infrastructures now. Who is applying for those funds to fix Brownsville? That's what city manager. Yeah, I have this great idea. Let me go back into some stuff that people had asked, and I just passed by because I didn't want to go in. But one of the things that I think that we are dealing with here locally, I'll touch on this one. Is all these LLCs popping up? Maggie, did you see the one where the middies were out there, buying land from Rose Gowan?
No, I didn't see. I saw that you said you posted a new LLC, but I didn't see what it was.
Well, and again, we're waiting to get some more information from the city guys, but it's all the same people over and over and over again. And I had a conversation with Miss Mitty, with Dinah Mitty. I think that's her name. I had a conversation with her, and I said, "Look, All we want is for y'all to be transparent with us. All we want is, to have open access in regards to sharing information, thoughts, and ideas. The problem with, and I mentioned this with the problem with y'all's organization, that you all thought, hey, we could go to the mayor and the city commission and everything's going to be okay. That's why you put Roy de las Chanclas on your damn board. It's not going to be okay when you have individuals in the city that are fed up and tired and, now want answers. Someone's going to respond. Because what happens, and I told her, when you leave those gaps of where there's a lack of information,
Uh-huh.
people are going to start to fill in those gaps with whatever information is out there. So don't be pissed off if we don't get everything 100% right. You know what I'm saying, mate? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Don't get pissed off when we don't get it. That we're commenting on what we have, and what we have is not enough.
Yep. Agreed. And that was the problem. It always goes back to the same thing with BISD is we don't get all the information that we would like to have. And sometimes I just want to know that and same thing for the mayor, same thing for the city commissioners is I just want them to tell us, hey, you know what? We don't have an answer right now, but we're trying to figure it out, whatever.
Ricardo, do you think that because more people are using solar panels, it's having PUB charge the rest to more to make up?
I don't think we're there yet with solar panel.
I don't. Think I think what's happening is it's a three-pronged issue right now. First, the grid itself, ERCOT, its subsidiaries, and the whole policy supporting it is broken. Period. Second, I believe that there's factors right now regarding usage and the availability of the grid. It kind of goes back to the last point, but it's mismanagement, right? And then lastly, I don't believe we have enough of what I would consider solar panels and all those things. The economy is an interesting thing, and you can ask these real smart professors in economics what it is. It's a law of supply and demand, right? So the more that something is in demand and the less supply, the higher the rate goes up. The more supply that there is on something, then the price evens out. So one has to deduce that there is an issue right now regarding availability of energy and how it's being priced out. And if that's the case, we need some innovative solutions and people with some courage to come out and tell the people the real deal.
Well, let me ask again. It might be kind of like a little bit on the out there. Can a class action lawsuit be filed? I mean, what would it require to file a class action lawsuit?
Well, there's a few different things that a class action lawsuit can address when there's all similarly situated people who are, not necessarily getting a fair shake at things or being conned or fraud. But the problem we have with cities and governments is they have these immunities, and it's very difficult to sue them. But on the other hand, there are some measures in place that do provide for pathways to redress these issues. There's a Civil RICO Act. Attorneys can put together and generally have individuals come forth regarding some sort of racketeering and corruption that's occurring. There's also what they call the key tam, which is when you have a government institution that is committing fraud. And a person who relates this information is called a relator. And if they can prove a systemic fraud, they may be entitled to compensation. These are all very complex legal ways of dealing with things. But beyond the courtroom, the people really do have the power to just continue to find people that are responsive and to do give them the information they need. If there's going to be a rate hike, fine, but tell us the real reasons and be upfront and show us what you're doing to take care of it and be sincere and effective in doing that.
Oh, I agree. I think just tell us the truth. We're big boy. except Maggie. She's just a big girl. But you know,
Say that again. Tell us the truth, but what?
Judge, tell us the truth. You know, we're big
No,
boys.
but what? Oh, I'm a big boy, except for Maggie. She's a big girl. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. I just wanted to know. I missed that little bit because I'm also an old lady who needs hearing aids. But go on.
Super old. But yeah, we just tell us the truth. Let us know what's going on. We'll survive. But again, explain to us how you raised our rates by 36%. 36% in order to pay for this Tanasca bullcrap. We got no Tanasca, and we got no accounting for the 36%, which probably averages out right now to 135 to 150 million dollars. I got that new amount, but at this point, it doesn't matter if it's 135 or 150 or 200 million dollars. We're never going to get any answers. We're never going to get an accounting.
One of the things that plagues many areas of government, including our own, is the lack of conflicts of interest checks and the lack of penalties when there is a conflict of interest with an elected official and a benefit, indirect or direct, that could be conferred on them based on their judgment and support. And it is, to me, unfortunate when you go in there and you reach a dead end because somebody is deliberately stopping something. And that's going the way it's supposed to. It's being stopped. Someone is actively stopping something from being known or being taken care of. You hear a lot about this BCIC money and these meetings, and supposedly the DA's office had showed up in one of the meetings, and it was right before there was a vote, that the mayor was supposed to get a benefit off of, or whatever it is. You hear all these kinds of stories, but there's nothing solid out there to go off of. What's the real story? I spent time going through those agendas to get the real story, and I'm even finding that the notes are unclear as to that whole situation and what happened. So why does it have to be that way? This is not an affront on any particular individual. This is about the facts. When we go into court and we speak before a judge, it is transcribed word for word by a court reporter. There is no taking your words back. Just very slim exceptions on striking things from the record, but very often it's just word for word. Why don't we get an actual court reporter to be transcribing some of these meetings, especially these very important votes? That would be something to consider, maybe unusual, maybe not that well thought out, but something is better than nothing these days.
Something. And
can we go back to John White's comment so I can just say, I hate you, John White. I can't even sometimes. The comments that come into your head to post, too much. But anyway, but I think one of the reasons why you see the agendas that are, what was it that you said? The agendas aren't that detailed, or what was it you said, Ricardo, that you were looking at the agendas? I think one of the problems is that for too long they got away with it. And because, again, BISD has done the same thing. We sat in on a BISD meeting when I happened to be in a board meeting when the agenda didn't say anything about, what was it, Garza Elementary being closed down and 2 of the schools being put together. What was it? The Lions. Is that Cromac. Yeah. And all of a sudden, they just started discussing it, and it was labeled something else. In previous years, they probably would have gotten away with it if there hadn't been such an uproar immediately, because there were enough people there at the meeting to call it to their attention. So I think, unfortunately, they have gotten away with too much for too long. And finally, people are starting to stand up. And I don't want to give Erasmo any credit more than it's going to, because, the head's just going to go like big. But I know that a lot of it has to do with Erasmo taking the hits and posting things that people send him to post. And that's what we need to do as a community grassroots effort of standing up and making comments. And I had planned on going to the city commissioners meetings, and I haven't attended a single one. But that's what we need, more people to take the time to go and sit in and say, what do you think you're doing, and how did you think you were going to get away with it?
I agree.
Yeah, so they have this minutes. Minutes are supposed to be posted accurately regarding meetings. They're supposed to reflect what actually occurred in meetings. And if the minutes aren't always accurate or accessible in a way where everybody can understand what happened, we're still not getting the full story there.
No, not at all. One of the other questions that came out was in regards to, and maybe anyone has an opinion on it, on the student loan, the $10,000 forgiveness for the student loan. Um, Look, and again, as crazy as this may sound, it's not enough.
Oh no, and I disagree. I'm probably going to benefit from this. My husband and I are probably going to benefit from it. I've paid off my bachelor's and my master's student loans, but I'm still paying off my doctorate. And my husband has been borrowing for his master's. So we're probably going to benefit from it. And my husband, I was talking to my husband about it. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair at all. But I'm not going to negate the money. I'm not going to say, no, I won't take it.
I
But
said,
then we were having this discussion. Small business, it's all COVID related. Small business got, my husband was saying, a friend of his who owns a
yeah, but
small
I said
business
it.
AC company
I'm
got
agree.
$44,000. Hang on, let me finish my
But
thought.
I'm agreeing with
Hang
you,
on.
I basically just said what you said.
No, I know. I'm not arguing with you. No, but you said it's not enough.
It's not
What?
enough. I want them to do more.
No, I don't think it's fair. I don't think they should have given us a $10,000 credit.
It's not enough.
No, because if I applied for a loan and I said I was going to pay it back, then it's up to me to pay it back. However, having said that, they have given monies to small businesses because of COVID. They have given monies to parents with children. How much were they giving? That we figured out one of our kids' moms was going to get like $10,000, $14,000 because she had so many kids. How much money were they giving all of a sudden to the school districts? So they are giving out monies to help out. They are giving out tax incentives and tax breaks. But yeah, I don't think it's fair to be giving $10,000. What was it, Pell Grant or grant student loans? It was
Maggie,
20,000 if it's a Pell Grant and 10,000 if it's a student loan.
you're sounding like a Republican.
I know I am. Isn't that scary? I thought about that halfway through today. I was like, I'm cutting across a little bit as a Republican. And don't anyone remind John White of that, please.
And again, what I'm trying to say is, I don't think it's doing enough. We need some type of reform. I think anyone is fooling themselves if they think that these kids that got 30, 40, $50,000 and that has jumped up a couple of 10 or 20, $30,000 because of interest that they're never going to pay. They're never going to pay. We need some type of reform. It's got to change. They've got to do more. It's not enough just to go out there and hand individuals $10,000.
So do
It's
something
not,
different.
huh?
So do something different, not just give away
We
money.
we need reform. Look, we need and again, we need electoral reform, election reform, election finance reform. We need some type of reform in regards to all these monies that the government is out there giving, like these student loans. We need something different. It's not working. It's
Yeah.
not working.
And
Because
they're doing it for votes.
It's
I
pretty.
remember when we were in high school and people were running for school president. Wasn't it against the school policy for them to hand out lollipops with a little reminder? It was against policy for them to give out goodies to get people to vote for them. But here we are, we see it with the government doing it. Our national government doing it.
your government.
La tuya.
You have predatory lending out there. One of the most vulnerable populations out there, which is a young student coming out in the world, trying to with a dream, and buying into the whole thing that with what you do here, you will have a life of abundance and good fortune. Just sign on the dotted line and, owe us for life. This is predatory lending. There has been our original Constitution and the letters that surround our Constitution, from Thomas Paine to Thomas Jefferson, reject this type of bank supremacy. Yet there is very little that people can do about this because our government is currently intertwined with the banks to such a degree that the Federal Reserve is unregulated virtually by our own government. They print as much money as they want, they do as much as they want. They're the kingpins of all these banks, and nobody stands up to them because they're like a cartel. And that's what you're really running into with these banks. When you look at all the Sally Mae's and all these giant things, I mean, when the recession hit in 2008, who got bailed out? Not the mom and pops, the
Uh-uh.
banks did,
The banks
the
did.
Wall Street banks.
Uh-huh.
So I'm telling you that, I go back to what Erasmo said. Sarah's been saying this for a long time. We need an ethics reform package that's comprehensive. Texas can do this. Texas has enough independent thinking people that would latch onto and likely be the leaders in our country on a real ethics reform package. When you have legislators, I'm not going to name any names, but they think they own your tax dollars. They think they own the seat, right? And it's theirs to live and name this after their friends or relatives and do that and walk like a prince and act like a king. Well, man, I'm going to tell you something about my heritage as a Mexican American. We are, as Mexican Americans, revolutionaries. Our country, where we come from, our ancestors in Mexico, were revolutionaries, known for revolutionaries. If you look at these old pictures going back, you know, uh, Benito Juarez, all those folks, man, Pancho Villa, these were people that didn't stand for, governmental oppression, you know.
Viva la revolución. I agree. They should be. They shouldn't be forgiving it. Look, part of the Maggie might not like this.
I know. I have a very angry cat right now. I don't know why.
Let me say, part of the problem is, guys, and this is part of Maggie's fault, partially. Part of the problem is that we're graduating kids coming out of high school that don't know how to fill out a tax return, have no clue or concept about what taxes are, what interest is, can't balance the checkbook, have no idea how to even fill out a check. Let me tell you, I
Hey,
had
Boomer, there's no checkbooks anymore, just so you know.
what's this?
You're the last one, Boomer.
I use them. Let me tell you guys, my concern is the other day I had one of my nephews out here, and he's like 20 years old, and I said, I need you because we did we submitted an apostilla, apostille to Austin, and I said, hey, fill in the envelope. He goes, how do you do that? I wanted to slap the crap out of that kid. He could not fill out an envelope, but they can't do anything. So these individuals who have no clue or concept about taxes, interest, or anything else, how things really work, they go out there and sign up for those $20,000, $30,000 loans. They're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand it.
Before,
One of the concepts.
go ahead. Go ahead.
One of the concepts of law is whenever you make a contract with somebody, the person on the other end of the contract needs to know what they're signing, and they need to know what they're agreeing to. And you don't put hidden clauses in there. And when you're dealing with somebody who is not sophisticated, etc., you can run into what they call an unconscionable contract. And so a lot of these student loans, and people are acting like they don't exist. I know I went through them. I have some student loans that had some outrageous compounding interest rates, ridiculous. I mean, there are more regulations that regulate interest rates on homes than there are on student loans. That's a fact. Think about that. So who's watching your back? Who is on the donor list are legislators that are getting money from banks, finance companies, things like that. The list goes on.
I agree.
John, I agree with you. I agree that my husband and I should pay on for our own loan back. But if someone's handing me $10,000, I'm not going to say no to it.
You're sounding like Trey Mendes.
No, I think Trey Mendes would bump people out of the way to get the $10,000.
Hell yeah, babe.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm walking by, someone's handing me $10,000. Okay.
Hey guys, our hour is up.
I know. I can't believe our hour went by so fast.
I looked up and we're like, crap, we got 8 minutes. And we're like,
hey,
damn.
Real quick, Sandra Science, according to El Run Run or the Run Run, is the one that worked for Tony.
Sandra who?
Science.
She's on the damn board, Maggie.
Yeah, I'm telling you. You were saying Sandra Lopez Langley. She's a banker.
I was one of those. Their names sound the same. Sandra and Susan, or what? Sandra and Sandra?
Sandra and Sandra. Sandra Science is like hair.
It's the same thing, same name.
Get your Sandras right. Don't go on. I'm not even gonna argue.
Thanks for coming on, bro.
Love it.
You'll be on next week too. Good.
Here whenever you ask me.
And don't hang up yet because we have to wait.
What?
No, remember we told Ricardo last time Ricardo hung up and got off before we were done?
Yeah, wait a little bit before you leave.
Yeah.
We gotta do the after talk.
You got it.
Guys, have a great evening. Tomorrow morning, 9:00 in the morning, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do tomorrow night. Guys, have a great evening. A social distance, face covering, hand sanitizer, still believing all that crap. Guys, be good to each other. Continue to be good to me. God bless.